you will have heard about the brutal killing of George Floyd in the US by a policeman who knelt on his neck, compressing his windpipe until he died. A video of this awful assault was made available online for all to watch, and it was extremely traumatic viewing for many people and sparked huge protests across the US. But many people think that this problem of racism, of racial violence, is kind of culminating in the US, is a big American problem. But they don't recognize that it's prevalent across basically every country in the world, particularly European countries. And I'm going to give the example of the UK today, because that's where I'm from, that's where I live. And I think people in the UK look at America and think they have the worst problems over there. We don't have problems like that here. But I'm here to tell you today that that is just not the case. And I'm going to give you some statistics to back this up. So a report from the UK Home Office gives the following statistics. In the year 2018 and 19, so the most recent report available, there were 103,379 hate crimes recorded by the police in England and Wales. Now that's a huge number, and it's an increase of 10% compared to the previous year. So the previous year, in 2017 to 18, there were 94,121 offences. Now this continues the upward trend that has been happening in recent years, with the number of hate crimes being recorded by police having more than doubled since 2012 to 13. So in that year, there were around 40,000. Now there are over 100,000. And while these increases could be related to improvements in reporting by police and recording these crimes, there have been significant spikes in these crimes following certain events. So two examples of these would be the EU referendum in 2016 and the terrorist attacks that happened in 2017. And there were huge spikes in hate crimes after these two events. And the majority of these hate crimes were based on race. And racial hate crimes accounted for around 3/4 of offences that were carried out in this most recent report. So that amounts to 76%. But we're not just talking about Black people, ethnic minorities being victims of crime, but also huge numbers of other factors that are due to the kind of structural oppression that other racial minorities experience. So we're talking about issues of poverty, issues of health, mental health, and healthcare, issues of employment, issues of housing, and many other issues that affect these ethnic minorities much more than white people. So throughout the UK, people from BAME groups are much more likely to be in poverty than their white counterparts. And this definition of being in poverty is that their income is less than 60% of the median household income, so the average household income. In 2009, a survey on wealth and assets in the UK revealed that the average white household had around £221,000 in assets. Now this compared to Black Caribbean households, which had about £76,000 in assets. Even lower down the ladder, Bangladeshi households had £21,000 in assets, and Black African households even less, with only £15,000 in assets. So you can see the huge disparity there between the Black African households and the white households. Now, BAME groups are also much more likely to experience homelessness. In Wolverhampton, for example, in 2011, 26% of the population were from a BAME community, but those same communities made up about 40% of the homeless cases seen by the local authority. So we're talking a much higher percentage of homeless people from those minorities than is representative of the population. And as of March 2015, 5% of white people, 13% of Black people, and 9% of Asian people of working age were unemployed. So that's those people between 16 and 64. In March 2015, figures showed that the proportion of 16 to 24-year-olds from BAME communities who were unemployed for over 1 year had increased by almost 50% since 2010. And that reached a total of 41,000 people. And for white people in the same age bracket, there had been a decrease in unemployment by 2%. So as you can see, these deep-seated inequalities are not just confined to the US. They're not a US-centric problem. They are also extremely prevalent in the UK, and it's about time that we recognize them as such. Thank you very much.